Hello YouTube. Here is something you will not hear from the people in the Sunday news shows on TV. I told you time after time, something is brewing worldwide, and the United States recent move to study UFOs more openly and seriously is only one development. Significant military preparations are taking place in space and on Earth. Not Russia against the United States, or United States against Russia or China, etc. There is another perceived adversary out there in the oceans and seas of our planet and in outer space. That's why you see militarization of near space and creation of space forces around the world. There is a joint US and Russian effort to build up defenses. And here's an interesting news item for your attention. In the late December of 2021, it was announced that for the first time during military exercises, the Russian Navy conducted a covert deployment of ships in the Pacific Ocean. This was announced by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu at an expanded meeting of the board of the Ministry of Defense of Russia. For the first time in recent history, an operational exercise was conducted with a grouping of Pacific Fleet forces in the faraway sea zone or area, Shoigu said, specifying that the covert deployment of ships was carried out in a remote area of the Pacific Ocean. At the same time, a comprehensive Arctic expedition, UMCA, was conducted on the Franz Joseph Land archipelago, which has no analogues in the world. What we know is that on March 20th of this year, 2021, the Integrated Arctic Expedition UMCA 2021 was launched in the Arctic Ocean and in the nearest areas. During these exercises, the ships of the fleet, land units, and specialists of scientific organizations had to hold several dozen different events. At the same time, only one thing attracted the greatest attention of the public and specialists: the surfacing of submarine missile carriers right on the ice field. The UMCA 2021 expedition started in March, and that time the archipelago of Franz Joseph Land, the island Alexandra Land, and the nearest water areas were covered with solid ice, and they were chosen as a training ground for such maneuvers. The expedition was organized by the Navy and the Russian Geographical Society. The purpose of the expedition was to conduct a complex series of practical and combat training, as well as scientific research activities. Within a few days, it was planned to hold 43 separate events of various kinds, including more than a dozen scientific studies. It should be noted that different regions of the Arctic regularly become training grounds for conducting exercises of various branches of the armed forces. And the current UMCA 2021 expedition differs from them in the scale and complexity of the tasks set. Well, there's going to be more intensity of such exercises beyond the Arctic Circle. Regular exercises of limited scale will be maintained, but now they will be supplemented by periodic large expeditions. Officially, the launch of a series of large-scale expeditions has obvious reasons. The Arctic is of great interest in military, political, and economic terms. In recent decades, Russia has been actively engaged in military construction and other activities in the region in order to protect its interests. The UMCA 2021 expedition is another step in this direction, and its scale indicates the achieved capabilities of the Russian army. Well, according to them, the expedition of the army and the Geographical Society, successfully solved a number of important strategic and tactical tasks. I want to tell you something interesting now. What's going on? In the 1970s, reports issued by Rear Admiral Viktor Domoslovsky, chief of the Pacific Fleet's Intelligence Department of the Soviet Union, described an unknown gigantic cylindrical object, which was sighted by Soviet Navy in the faraway regions of the Pacific Ocean. The object was from 800 to 900 meters long. When it hovered over the ocean, smaller objects exited from one of its ends, like bees from a beehive, and descended into the waters. Sometime later, they re-entered the gigantic UFO. After the smaller objects thus loaded inside, the UFO would fly away and disappear over the horizon. This information was revealed back years ago in Vladimir Azhazha's interviews to the Russian media. We researched further, myself and Philip Mantel, and established that Domoslovsky was in charge of the fleet's intelligence from 1970 to 1975. A distinguished World War II veteran and a former submariner who passed away in 1979, he had been involved with the Navy intelligence from 1953, from the Baltic Fleet to the Pacific Ocean. Okay? So we're speaking about a very serious source. And no debunker can open his mouth against it, because these are very serious people, very professional Navy intelligence officers, whether in the United States or in the former Soviet Union or modern Russia or China. Please understand that since the 1970s, the situations has only exacerbated. You only need to see the revelation of the US military about the Pacific Ocean in the last few years. But most important news is certainly kept secret, and no new commission or agency will disclose what is really going on. I am making inferences on the basis of the information available in open sources through diligent research. Bottom line, I draw your attention to the Arctic, the Pacific Oceans, to the island of Matua in the Russian Kuril Islands, to the Sea of Okhotsk, and then to Mariana Trench, and of course to the Antarctic. In outer space, certainly the Martian moonlet Phobos, the growing interest to the planet Venus. And also, I tell you, just follow the Chinese space exploration missions to see the rest. As for the Arctic areas and UFO and USO phenomenon there, please see my videos in this channel. And if you can, read my book, Russia's USO Secrets, which I co-authored with Philip Mantel. I think it's available now in 5 languages or 6 languages, and you certainly can find it in the libraries of your countries. Look, there has been an increase in sightings of UFOs and USOs in the Russian Arctic area, and the presence of the Russian Geographical Society is very telling. They have had committees that have engaged in profound UFO research. For example, see my video Aliens Without Faces, Cases from the Annals of the Russian Commission on Anomalous Phenomena. I have the greatest interest, of course, in the UFO and USO research of Russia and other countries that comprise the Soviet Union, where I am from. And I need to bring your attention to the developments in very important parts of the world, United States and China, of course, too, because I think it's a joint action to face, to counter, to check the alien presence on this planet, which is profound. I don't have to tell you the history of the discoveries of the last century and this century. So keep your eyes open. I'll do my best to bring you more information. And again, this is not something you're going to hear on Sunday news channels or 60 Minutes or anywhere else. So thank you for your support. And for those who can support my research, please do so. You'll find the links in the description of this channel. Please subscribe to my channel, tell others, and I'll bring you more interesting videos about the Eurasian paranormal, Russian UFO and USO secrets and developments, and much more.